Hey, and welcome to my next playthrough. Gonna play through Earthworm Jim, one of my favorite childhood games, one of my favorite childhood superheroes. Um, I'm decided I'm just gonna make one video of this and not do multiple videos because to me this feels like one of those games that like the momentum gets really killed if you like stop, you know. So I love Earthworm Jim. I love the character. Like, I've loved him since I was a kid and I first laid eyes on him as like a 5-year-old in the 90s. Of course, I think I've mentioned it before if I can get into this place. You know what? Screw it. We're not going there. I think I've mentioned it before that I actually didn't grow up with the Super Nintendo or the Genesis version. I played the Super Nintendo version because my cousin had it, but I had the special edition on the PC, and I was debating getting the one on Steam, which is supposed to be that edition, but I was reading the reviews and apparently it's a terrible port of not only the game, but like the special edition. So that's kind of a bummer. So I just decided, you know, it's on the Switch, like Genesis, might as well just play it, right? But yeah, it's one of those games that I have played like 1,000,001 times. I have no idea how many times I've actually played it. Come on, Jim. Jim, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Um, but no, I don't know how many times I've actually played it. I played it a lot. I was debating doing a difficult playthrough, but like last time I played it, like was actually to see how long it would take me to just play through the game on difficult to see if it would just be worth doing one video or multiple videos. I ended up having a real rough time. What's not a problem round 3, just simply because like, you know, Major Mucus was just being a butt. So I just decided I was gonna just do a normal playthrough. I don't have anything to prove anyway. But yeah, so probably gonna be here for a little bit. It's not a super long game, but it's probably going to be around an hour or so. So we'll see. But this is Billy Ben. He's a trash can. It gets really crazy to deal with on normal, or not normal, on difficult because he's just like zooming on through here and you have to like come over here and stay in the corner and like jump, time your jumps just right, or else like you gotta do the fight all over again, because if he hits you in that stage, it starts the fight all over again. I don't know. It's possible one day that I might just go ahead and get the Steam version, and if it ends up being like exactly the way I remember it and it's not a terrible port or anything like that, like a lot of people complain about, because you know, a lot of people just like to complain about minor things. I might do another video of like the special edition if that's the case, because it is a different game. It has like one level that wasn't in this, you know, the original game, and then like the sound effects and stuff. So if it ends up being like that, then yeah, I'll definitely do another playthrough and do it with the special edition. But I just wanted to go ahead and like put it out because I was already I've been talking about playing this game for a while. Of course, he had to hit me last 5 seconds. He had to get his like little bit of revenge in there. We got Andy's Asteroids. when I was a kid, like, I always lost Andy's asteroids. Like, there's like a million of them, by the way. So, like, you're going to be doing this a lot. But, like, I always lost even the first one because I didn't know that you were supposed to hit the fire button to, you know, use the actual pocket rocket, which is what this is called, the pocket rocket. The air bubbles, if you collect 50 of those, you get a continue, and then you've got these that are force fields that allow you to just, you know, break through the asteroids, and if Psychro comes up, you can hit him with it and it knocks him back a little bit. But Psychro's on that, you know, typical 90s racing thing where he just rubber bands, so it doesn't matter how far ahead you get, he's always just right behind you. Even on the first one, he's always just right behind you. Seizure warning. Kind of just coming off the heels of recording, finishing Fatal Frame. That last session only took like 2 videos, and I'm still in the mood to like record, so I just figured I'd go ahead and do this one while I'm at it. And we've got What the Heck? We're on the planet Heck. Yeah, back there in the background you can see Evil the cat dancing to the, you know, Night on Bald Mountain. Very reminiscent to Fantasia, which, you know, that song wasn't made for that, but like most people think of Fantasia when they hear that song. I think of Earthworm Jim. Watch out for these. If you do that, like, it sends a thing of fire out. I'm going to be pretty liberal with the plasma shots in this one because they don't really help you against the fight with Evil the cat. Because, like, I'll show you when I get there why, but they're not very useful, but like they can be used against other enemies. And if you know what you're doing, you can actually do this level in like less than a minute because there's so many like shortcuts. Like this hook here, you can actually hook, like whip down to it from up there and everything. But like, you know, I want to go through it like the normal way. These green gems, like sometimes it's really easy to fall if you're not careful. Ouch. So, you know, you just got to be careful or else you're just going to fall and you have to do it all over again. Then we got to deal with the lawyers. You just whip them and shoot them. Otherwise, they use their briefcases to block. And that hook right there on the bottom right-hand corner, if you hook that, you can skip this entire boss fight. But, like, I'm going to do the fight because it's super easy. It's a snowman in hell. Oh. So you got a snowman's chance in hell. Which, you know, they usually say snowball's chance, but, like, you know, super literal, it's a snowman, you know. Alright, and that same hook, you can hook it right here, if Jim will do it, and like you can get some plasma shots, and was it a life, or was it just like a energy refill? And right here, I always just stuck around this platform so that like the falling Fritos just hit that instead. But yeah, the only thing that makes like the difficulty change from difficult to like normal and stuff is just like how much damage Jim takes and how much energy he gets back from like the atoms and then the hyper atoms, which are the orange balls. Those things pretty much do full health on easy and normal, but on difficult it's like anywhere from 20 to 30. Um, and of course, everything, like I said, everything does more damage. And I don't think the bosses really take more damage. Maybe they do. But like, they don't really do that. And I'll probably, in a second. So that trick, so there's a trick to that. Like, let me, I guess, if you ever want to play it, I'll explain it. So if you try and get across the hooks and you just push forward, he's too short to like actually whip to the other one. You have to specifically hit forward and up. You have to hold forward and up for him to get enough momentum to do that. I don't know if that was something they intentionally programmed into the game, or if that was just something that was like, you know, a happy accident or something. I don't know. So here's one of the reasons why the plasma shots are useless, because you're not in your you're not in the spacesuit in the first part of the fight. You have to dodge these fireballs, and he's going to keep shooting at, you know, us and causing his own downfall, because every, you know, as you can see, he's melting away his own platform. I don't know how Jim jumps as an earthworm, you know, because earthworms don't have bones. If I remember correctly, they don't have spines or bones or anything. So I don't know exactly how he jumps, but it's funny. And then here's the second reason, because he's just going to drop down out of the, you know, out of the darkness in the back, and you got to just shoot him. And it's kind of just better to have the regular shots instead of the plasma, because it's one hit, you know, versus being able to hold it down. You can only fire it once with the plasma, and the other, he almost got me there. He might get me. Like, I do know that on difficult, he drops a lot faster. And on normal, he just, you know, he's not too unbearable as far as like, you know, unmanageable. Andy's asteroids again? Yeah. In between every level, we're going to be doing Andy's asteroids. In these first few levels, they give you enough air bubbles that you can miss a good handful of them and probably still get 50. But in later levels, it's literally going to be like, if you don't get every single one of them, you're not going to get a continue, because like they have exactly 50. And at one of these points, I don't know if it's going to be at all. I don't want to do it intentionally in this playthrough, but if I don't lose at any point, I'll start the game again just to show you what happens when you lose. Because if you lose, you actually do have to do a boss fight. So the potential to fight Psycrow, which is, I don't know if I mentioned it, that's his name, Psycrow, is like pretty high. And we're done with that level. Let me get to move on to... Some people say they're the worst levels in the game. I disagree. I think the second to last level is the worst level in my opinion, and I'll talk about it when we get there. But I think these are kind of obnoxious as like a 90s kid. I get it, because of like, you know, there's a lot of time limits and rushing under time limits. But the second level, because there's actually, you do this level, you do 2 levels, down the tubes and tube race, but in this edition they just call it down the tubes for both of it. Oh, he got me. Number 4 got me. They call it down the tubes, and I think for both levels, but it's down the tubes and tube race. Like, tube race is really obnoxious until you actually find out the trick you're supposed to do that I don't think the game tells you, and it doesn't really give you enough time, but there's a way to like refill like most of your time. but the game doesn't really tell you that, and if I'm not mistaken, it's like barely doable. Grab that. Ride the giant hamster. All right, Hamtaro, let's go. By the way, I'm making it bite because like of those like little orange guys, they'll pull you off and slam you on the ground. But this is why people don't like this level. I don't really like this level because of this either. Because this part's not really that big of a deal. You've got like 30-ish seconds to get through there. You know, obviously the time represents your health. Or not health, but like air. But like, it takes damage. So is there anything over here? I don't think so. It takes damage every time you hit a wall, so that's not good. I think you can beat, if you use a plasma shot, you can kill number 4, but like, why waste it if you can just get over it? But this patch here is a little more, you know, they do give you air refills here, and I think it's up to 30. But like, yeah, as I've stated before, as a 90s kid, there's two things that make like me super nervous. It's time limits, especially when you have to rush under a time limit, and you know, you can die if you're not careful. And the other thing is like precarious platforming over death pits. Those two things were everywhere in video games in the 90s. And I don't know if everybody feels the same way about those things as I do. I've talked to a few 90s kids that seem to have the same sentiment of like, you know, precarious platforming and time limits being like the two things that really still hate in games. And so this guy, you can either jump into him or you can jump into him, but hold right. Because it brings you over here to this, and then you can just jump up here and grab that. I was going to say you can shoot him with a plasma shot, but Jim decided to climb up there as I was aiming. That's not an indicator that the level's over. Usually that means going to Andy's Asteroids, but no, we've got Down the Tubes Part 2, which is, like I said, in Special Edition it's called Tube Race. And it's basically the same level. I don't know why. I don't know why they, you know, they had you do it twice. It sucked the first time. I don't know why they wanted you to do it twice. I think the only reason you go out there is to see that there's a life there. Which is kind of a hint that like, oh, there might be like little hideaways and stuff. But this level, everybody hates this level, and it's really not that bad, and I'll show you why. Firstly, you get 99 air, which is plenty of time to get to the secret refill that you have to get, because like otherwise you barely have the time needed to get through this. But you can take your time. It's not really that big of a reason to rush. I don't really suggest going after any of the extra stuff that's hidden around because it just takes too much time. There might be... No, actually I think I have looked at a map to verify. There's not another air thing before this other one. And it's pretty far. We're probably going to be less than 30 seconds. Which the seconds are counting down almost as fast as the seconds in Ramby's bonus room in Donkey Kong Country 1. But no reason to rush, Jim. There's no reason to risk it. Okay. Oh. We're almost there to the other refill. Refill is going to put us up to 60, which is more than enough. So right here is a fake wall, and you just go over here and like do that. It's gonna take us to 60. That's more than enough time to take my time to not, you know, die. I still have plenty of hits left, but why risk it? I say as I slam into that wall. I think you have to go at a certain speed for it to count as a hit. But we're almost there. I think it's just another little, like, straightaway. I don't remember if there's a air refill or not before then. I don't think so, because it's like right here, isn't it? Yeah. Oh. Alright, and then we gotta do the hardest boss fight in the game. Let's go. That's it? What'd you expect? He's a goldfish in a bowl. Bob can't be bothered. That's that fish's name, by the way. It's Bob. The evil goldfish. I think it's actually the evil killer goldfish. I think this is the first level where it's like, if you miss even one of them, you can't get to continue. And I can't remember if Psychro... I know, yeah, Psychro can take them if he gets into them, so... I don't know, it might actually be more than 50, because this is on a normal and not hard or difficult, but... We'll see. I've already got 2 continues, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if I don't get completely and utterly, like... screwed over by It's Not a Problem round 3... then it should be fine. Ouch. I'm gonna be one less, aren't I? Oh, nailed it. By the way, it doesn't show a health bar, but you do have a health bar. Like, you can die by getting hit by the asteroids too many times, and whatever damage you've taken does carry over into other levels. It just doesn't tell you how much health you have. Four continues, and yes, they're a can of worms. So if we lose all our lives, we have to open up a can of worms. Here we go. It's Not a Problem. Round 1. First round is really easy. You just got to knock them in here. Oh, and before I forget, wait for it. That hay, if you listen to it in the special edition soundtrack, it's even more obvious. But that hay is Lance Hendrickson in The Terminator when he finds his partner after he got shot by the Terminator and he yells, "Hey." Like, it's 100% the same "hey." Watch out for that guy. Like, it just sounds a little different on here, but if you listen to the special edition version of the sound and then, you know, compare it, it's the same "hey." It's 100%. They sourced it, you know, which happens, you know, people do that. I don't know if they, you know, had the rights to it. So the thing that makes round 3 hard is that thing is a one-hit kill. But like, Major Mucus here is all over the damn screen, and sometimes he wants to get right up underneath you and knock you right into it. If he's spinning like that, you can't do any damage to him. I actually think on round 3, I'm not really sure if in the first 2 rounds, if you shoulder barge into him, if that does damage, or if you just have to hit him on the wall every time. But if he's doing that, he can do damage to you, but you can't do nothing to him. And I'm pretty sure, like, shoulder barging doesn't help much, and he gets into that way too easy and can bounce you up against the wall. So that's what makes this difficult. And he wants to follow you wherever you're at. So sometimes this is just incredibly easy. I've had the game kind of glitch out and him just like run himself into the wall for no reason. and then I've had it like literally be like I'm stuck burning through all of my lives because the game just makes it like impossible. There's the Wilhelm scream. But like I said, especially on difficult, this can be like a make or break. One of the things that is an end runner, because either you're just going to get really frustrated like I normally do, or like you're just going to burn through all of your lives. But I have 4 continues, so I'm hoping not to have to use any of them. Every time you die, you lose all of your ammo, so the 4,000 or 5,000 shots that I had are gone. I like the concept of this level. I just wish it wasn't 3 rounds of like this and like the last round getting really, you know, crazy with the AI and stuff. And the thing in the water that's a one-hit kill that seems to follow you and it's hard to predict where it's going to be. And then he's like literally actively trying to slam you in the wall now. And then that keeps happening. Come on now, Jim. You're better than this. Ouch. There's also some BS in the next level I'll show when we get there. The next level's not really that bad or anything. It's just this one part is like, I don't know what they were thinking when they designed it. It's, you know, maybe if there was a pattern to it, it wouldn't be so bad, but like, it always seems to be RNG every time I do it, so. Oh god, that was close. Sometimes you just have to like risk, you know, ooh. Sometimes you have to like just, you know, go up and down a few times and risk getting hit. I mean, the longer you do this, the worse it's going to get, you know, the chances. But sometimes you have to do it just to like get him in a good spot. If you can get him like that, there you go. Like that's best case scenario. But sometimes the AI just does not want to cooperate. Andy's asteroids? Apparently, if I remember correctly, it's Andy's Asteroids because there was one of the people who worked on the game's name was Andy Astor or something like that. It was Andy Astor or something like that. So like the joke is like, it's that guy's name. So it's an inside joke of the development team. And of course the creator of the game is Doug TenNapel. I'm not really going to say much of anything about him. But yeah, so I love the character Earthworm Jim. I don't always like endorse things that Doug has said or done. And that's as far as I'm going to say that. But you know, he's done a lot of stuff. He did Cat Scratch. He did the Neverhood. He did a series of comic books that were like not always connected. And I've always liked his art style, and I've read a few of his comic books, but like, I guess to finish off saying it again, like I don't agree with a lot of the things he says and does. I don't condone some of the things he said and done. And I'll leave it there. This time for reals, though. I've mentioned it before. I'm not really a huge fan of Earthworm Jim 2. I mean, I've played it. I've never finished it. because it just gets like really obnoxious, you know, really obnoxious at times. So it's definitely not going to be more than a normal difficulty playthrough. But yeah, so like, and of course Earthworm Jim 3, which is Earthworm Jim 3D on the N64. I have it. I've actually beaten it only once because it suffers from some level design that makes it kind of like really difficultly impossible at times. And the fact that it's one of those games that almost requires you to 100% it to, you know, play through it to finish the game makes me like not happy about that, because I don't like games that force you to 100% them. Because I kind of feel like if the game is fun and good enough, you'll want to 100% it, but if you're forced to do it, that's kind of obnoxious. Okay, this is the part in the level that I was saying is BS. So you get into this cage and you have these like things here that start dropping these amoebas on you, and the pattern is 100%, as far as I know, random. There's no pattern to it. I've been playing this game for like 30 years and like I've never seen a pattern. Like sometimes they'll go in order, but I mean like there's not a pattern, as in like if I die and have to do that over, it's not going to be the same pattern. So there's no way to really learn how to do it. And then they take you through here. They should give me some, yeah, some more ammo. And it should be a full health because I'm on normal difficulty. This thing here should be full health, right? Yeah. And then you have to do it again. And it's just as random as the first time. And sometimes it will completely drop them at an angle that you're not even looking at in the complete opposite direction, so you're more likely to get hit. This is an absolute run ender on difficult, but if you make it past it, this level is pretty easy actually. See, like there was not much I can do with that, but also they, you know, bring you here and they make you like drop down and possibly get hit by those, so you need to like make sure you fire so you don't get hit. And then this is where Professor Monkey for a Head shows up for the first time. You gotta shoot him or whip him to get him to stop doing that, or else it's just gonna infinitely spawn those little flying eyeballs. If you can do it fast enough like that, you know, you can do it before he even gets any out. But they give you some health, so it makes it like it's not like it's impossible is what I mean. Like, you know, they give you the ability to do it. And if you jump right here, it's a secret level called Who Turned Out the Lights, and the whole gimmick is like you're in the dark with who knows what kind of creatures, and you're just trying to navigate the dark. Pretty sure there's not a there's a spot here you can like go across. If there's a hook, it'll be shiny. You got to get to the exit. And there's going to be a couple of exits you got to find. But you know, when I was a young kid, I didn't know about this, and I found out about it because of like the soundtrack, and I was like, I've never heard that song before, and it's like, it's called Who Turned Out the Lights? Like, I don't know anything about that. And when I looked it up, you know, this is like at the beginning of YouTube, like 2006, 2007, you know, YouTube. There was a Let's Player by the name of ASDF-san. I think he changed his name to Alter Forte before he completely disappeared. Last I heard, he was going to Japan to teach English like over a decade ago. And he just completely disappeared, but he had like ended up having large gaps of like, you know, uploading of content, so I think he was pretty much done with it anyway. But he, like I was saying, he did a playthrough, and I can't remember if he showed it or not, but I know he did like a playthrough of 1 and 2. I want to say he showed who turned out the lights, and that's how I learned about it, but I could be completely wrong about that. You got to make sure you take out these dudes here. It'll be apparent why in a second. Because you got to run away from this guy, and you got to get up on top of the hill and jump over him because he's an insta-death if he gets you. Either that or like I, you know, just had enough health for him to take me out. Hover over, keep running, and we're out. And then we just get put back here. But I just wanted to show it because it's a nice little fun thing. You know. Oh, I missed that plasma shot. That's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not like it's going to be super useful right now. Alright. Ouch. So, in the special edition of the game, the first time you actually see Jim without his suit on is in the first level, New Junk City. And the reason you see him without his suit is because where you normally fight Chuck, which Chuck is the boss of the first level, and his dog is Fifi. Those were the dogs running around. When you first fight Chuck, like in that area, it actually takes you to a warp to more of the level, and you have more of the level to play before you have to like fight Chuck, which was one of the biggest shocks to me. Ouch! When I first played the Genesis version, because I think that's the one I got on the Wii. When I first played the Genesis version, that was a shock to me because I was like, well, where's this whole level where you're supposed to like slide down these, oh, come on now, Jim. You're supposed to slide down these like slides, these slopes. Like, where's that at? And it's like, it's not in this version of the game. That's content they had to cut, apparently, because it didn't fit on the cartridge. It'd be really cool if they re-released the special editions on modern console. I'd buy those in a heartbeat, even, especially if it was bundled, even though I don't really care for part 2. And part 3 is kind of like really obnoxious. You kind of have to run pretty quickly at this point because like you have to do that whole segment again if you don't get the suit before that. I think you can get some stuff. I can't remember what you get if you fall down there. I don't think it's worth it. I think you can get some stuff down there too, but you know, we're just going to keep soldiering on. But one thing I didn't demonstrate is when you're hanging here, if you push up, Jim will grab himself like that and pull himself up. This helps against certain enemies, you know, when you're dealing, like, especially in that first level. I think it's only really useful in the first level against, you know, dealing with Fifi. But I think there might be 1 or 2 enemies that might actually help with. Now we're on like the final stretch of this level. And at this point, Professor Monkey Forehead's going to be up there throwing that. So if you want to deal with him quickly, you need to jump on the chain and like shoot him, because otherwise he's just going to keep throwing stuff at you until you do a certain amount of damage, I think. So it's just best to do that, jump down, hopefully not get hit. I think this is level 5. I think there's like 8 levels in the game. And these things are just going to keep spawning, so it's kind of better to run. And then, you know, shoot when you need to shoot. Because otherwise, like, they're just, like I said, they're just going to keep spawning. And then he's here. But it's okay because this should drop like health and maybe even full health. But eventually it'll start spawning enemies if you hit it too many times. Like when it spawns enemies, that means you've got everything you got gonna get out of it. Sometimes it gives you a full health. There's a checkpoint there. I'll probably need it because I don't have the health needed to fight this boss. I can maybe get through the first phase. We got Robot Chicken. Before Robot Chicken. And you gotta hit that ouch. You gotta hit that target, or you know, to get it to drop stuff on it. That's the only way you can damage it, unless you have plasma shots, I think. In this phase, this is the only way you can damage it. I was just really unlucky with my aiming, because you can literally sit here and just do this if you get it on the first time and time it just right. And then we've got the falling, and you just gotta dodge and shoot it. And this is one of the things I really love about this first game, is how like zany and wacky it is, but how like serious and kind of badass it is at times. Part 2 is just very zany. Part 3 is very zany, and there's not very many badass moments. Like Earthworm Jim is a pretty big, like, you know, he's not just crazy and zany. Like when he's serious, he can do some damage. And of course, I've watched the TV show. I love the TV show too, but that actually kind of shows you a lot of the stuff that he can do. That's just kind of like, you know, he can pick up a house and not even break a sweat doing it. You know what I mean? Like he's pretty cool. Of course, he didn't survive the 90s, and I honestly don't think he would have survived the 90s. A lot of people attribute it to like the third game. We might have to fight Psychro here. A lot of people attribute it to the third game, and I agree, the third game's really not good. It was super rushed and everything to like try and capitalize on the fame, you know, of Earthworm Jim. Well, I missed that opportunity. If I remember correctly, Rockstar bought the rights to the game, and they were doing a third game, and then they just like, they were like, Dave Perry was the guy who ran Shiny Entertainment, and then you know, he got the rights from Doug, because in order to make the game, he had to get the rights. You know, Doug created all the characters, but he created all the characters specifically to make this game. Did I just hit him on the way? So he did that, and then they sold the rights and made the third game, and the third game was super rushed, and they just completely were like, yeah, you guys are going to have a say in the game. So what you want to do is you want to shoot him and whip him. They're like, yeah, of course you're going to have a say in the development of the game. Like, we're going to keep you guys in and let you like consult and stuff. And then from what I understand, the second they got the rights, they just completely and utterly like shut them out so they had no say in like the character and everything like that. And then they made it more around the show than the actual like universe that was created for the games. And here's For Pete's Sake. This level, it's not my least favorite, but man, is it obnoxious. So we got to protect Pete. He's this cute dog here. And we want to make sure we keep, you know, Pete safe. It's for Pete's sake, after all. We really don't want to get him hurt. Oh, crap. Try and take out as many enemies as possible. Oh, here he is. That's what happens if he gets hurt, is he transforms into like the Hulk and then takes you back in the level. And part 2, he beats you up in the levels that he's in, and his levels are the worst level. And well, there's some of the worst levels in the game. I really hate the Flying King. If I ever play part 2, like, I'll show you why I hate that game. Oh, I don't hate the game. I don't like it as much as the first game. It's not starting completely over. I think this is the only level in the game that you don't actually get to see the checkpoints, because it's just kind of like you hit a certain point and then, you know, it's the checkpoint, but they don't actually have the continue word. But yeah, this level is, I'm gonna come back here. This level is not my least favorite. I actually hate It's Not a Problem Round 3 worse than this, but it's not very high on my list of like levels in this game because of stuff like that. Oh, I had to sacrifice that ammo. It was worth it. Don't want the tentacles to get him. You don't want him to fall off a cliff. He's gonna get picked up here, so we don't have to worry about him. Just get past that. It looks like to me it kind of looks like a concrete mixer, doesn't it? Let's see, is he able to? Yeah, I think he should be able to get on here. And you can make him bounce, but I just whip him at that point because it's like he gets propelled forward. And this part sucks if you're really low on ammo like I am, because like Jim starts running out of ammo and then Pete just starts getting up and walking because he's not shooting anymore, you know, and then like he'll walk himself right off a cliff while you're busy dealing with the asteroids or the meteors. And you can make him do like that. So, I mean, it's a cool level concept. It's just kind of obnoxious. It's like an escort mission. Like, nobody likes escort missions. I think the only escort mission people like, and they just tolerate it because the rest of the game is so good, is like Resident Evil 4. Most of Resident Evil 4 is an escort mission, but it's actually done pretty decently at times. Not doing too bad, actually. Because this is the end, isn't it? And you can... Oh, it's almost the end. Because they have like an advanced course. If you make Pete jump over the house, you can go further and like, you know, there's more of the level. And you can get more items and stuff, but the problem with that is like you run the risk of like, there we go. It's over. He's gonna change. You run the risk. Now, considering that was the second time that happened, that's not bad actually. We're almost at the end of the level. But yeah, the longer you risk, you know, playing the level, the more likely you are to like take a hit or, you know, die or something like that, lose ammo. So it just kind of becomes like Why risk it? I think he just gets put down over here, doesn't he? Yeah, so if you make him jump over that, there's more to level, but you can run and get as much as you can before he gets there. I just don't think it's worth the risk. The next level after Andy's Asteroids is my least favorite level. And I'll explain when I get there why. Has nothing to do with the scenery, has nothing to do with the concept of the level. It's just a lot of things in the level. If you only played the Super Nintendo version, this level's not in it because it was considered too graphic for Nintendo. But you know, Genesis does what Nintendo don't, so of course they put it in there. You know, I'm kind of glad I did lose the last Andy's Asteroids, because then I was able to show the Psychro boss. Ouch. Probably gonna show it again now. Hit that asteroid, yeah. Like I was saying, so yeah, it was like left out. They didn't put it in the game because it was considered too graphic. It's one of the reasons why the Genesis edition is considered like the definitive edition, but I actually think it should be the special edition because, you know, of all the extra stuff. And the soundtrack is way, you know, cleaner, and the sound bites are cleaner and stuff, but I think it was released on Windows 95, DOS, Sega CD, and the first PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know why they haven't like done it, but Intestinal Distress. I hate this level because, especially if you're playing on difficult, you have stuff like this that are just flying at you off screen, and it's very easy to get hit. And they almost just completely run through your health on difficult. And so it's like the boss, if you know how to handle him, is not that big of a deal, but like, good lord, everything else in this level is just like designed to make it almost impossible to get through. It's because you got stuff like that bouncing around and like I said, taking your health out. And it's sometimes a little difficult to figure out exactly where to go. I'm gonna die. It's I hope I can get a continue, because otherwise it's literally back to the start. Oh. Stuff like that happens. And that's why I hate this level. And that's why I also hate Cricket. But yeah. Like, it's too easy to just run through your lives for no other reason than like something comes flying at you off screen. And I'm glad it's not in part 2, but they have a level that's kind of similar that also sucks. I'm kind of surprised that boss wasn't in it, but he probably wasn't for the same reason why probably because they were like, oh well, that boss, Dr. Doharum is what his name is. He's like literally the Doharum, which is the tube that connects the stomach to the intestines. Might be considered too graphic or whatever, you know, and let's just keep him out. How am I getting hit by stuff? See, that's what I'm saying. This level sucks. Worst level in the game. I haven't even gotten a continue yet, right? Or a continue point. Have I got a continue point? There we go. I'm not happy, like, in that sense, because like there's still like a considerable amount of the level left, but it only has a couple of those spots, like right here, where you just have to like really try and dodge and hope not to get hit by whatever those are. And I think if you stand there for too long, it'll spawn and hit you. I think the fish come flying at you if you wait too long. And this is the boss fight. So what you want to do here is bait him into jumping, run across the screen, shoot him, you know, across the screen. You don't want to like shoot him right next to you, or else he'll just like start hitting you with stomach acid and stuff. But like that, and he just spams it, so it's really easy to die if you're not careful. So you really just want to like hit him and run, hit him and jump, hit him and run. Stay away from him. You're not gonna live if you don't. All right, this is the last Andy's asteroids because we're coming up on the last level. Psychro's just taking the warps. But yeah. And I'll tell you, the beginning of this next like level used to be the hardest thing, and maybe it was because I was playing it on the computer, so I was playing on the keyboard, but it used to be the hardest thing. I can't say I'm not going to do it without taking a hit. I usually don't have a problem with that, but like, you know, I'm recording, so I'm not exactly as focused as I normally would be. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Keep hitting these asteroids just to prove a point. But yeah, I mean, so we're coming up on the final level. Oh yeah, the special edition also had... There's really, other than just bragging rights, there's no real reason to do like the game on difficult. But if you play the game on easy and you play the game on difficult in the special edition, there's like there's the easy has a different ending, and the different ending is the game chastising you for like failing to play the game on anything other than difficult or easy. And then like it's a really funny like thing that's like Jim is telling you what worms are, but he's like failing to even do that. It's really funny. It's worth looking it up. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but it's like, it's really funny. And then the second difference to the ending on difficult is just you get like, you know, a message that tells you how great you are for beating the game on difficult and how like amazing you are, because that's like the hardest difficulty and stuff. So this is Buttville. This is called Use Your Head, the soundtrack. Those spikes, I think, do like insane amount of damage. And so for the longest time, it doesn't tell you this here, but on the special edition, it pops up and says, use your head. And I'm just like, I don't know what they want me to do here. And then when I figured it out, it was not easy. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to use the propeller head. And you're just like trying to like fly through here and not take a hit. Unlike that, you know, you don't want to take a hit. I think the right side is an easier path, but I got a life, so it doesn't matter. But I think it's easier to go this way if I remember correctly, and then there might be like a life or something over there, but you just got to dodge all this stuff. And then there's two paths to go here at the end. The one on the right side is harder, but they take you to the level. This is where the level takes place. Past that first murderous, you know, thing. You swing on this bottom one, you can get these plasma shots if he will do it. There we go. I always loved that about the first game. It really sucks that they took the swinging out of the second game and gave you snot. Like that's one of the funnest things about the first game is being able to swing on hooks. You know, like that's cool. It's Indiana Jones, right? You can still use your head as a whip, but it's just not as like, oh, that thing got me. That was like the last life, wasn't it? No, I've got a couple lives. Gotta watch out for those guys. They're one-hit kills. But yeah, like I said, you can use your head as a whip, but you can't swing on it, and that's part of the fun. I think you can whip these guys, can't you? Yeah, but that green stuff is like, it hurts you. You can't do anything to these guys. You just have to kind of get through it. I think that's the only spot they show up. And you can defeat that hive if you... oh, I guess they're right there. We're just gonna go. Got it. Watch out for these guys. See, the green stuff is like, it hurts you, so you gotta be careful. I guess it's like the acid blood from the alien, and I totally missed that health. Excuse me while I get my life together and go for it again. And I took a hit anyway. I think this is the only guy that like you can't really hit. But you gotta be careful because if he can pop out and like quite literally he can pop out and just sit there, and if he's just sitting there, like he can still get you. And I think you can whip around here somewhere, can't you? Right there. You slide off. Yeah, if he does that, he can still get you, so you gotta be careful. Alright, it's not worth it. I'm not getting that. I'm not going after that. But if you're not careful, you can slide right off of those, like, those spheres. You could probably guess what that is, so I'm not going to tell you what that is. Try and save the plasma shots at this point. Just run, just go. There's Snot. The only time in this game he shows up. But this is the final boss, so we'll see how it goes. The lightning in the background has turned red. That is the evil slug for a butt. She has a very long, drawn-out name that's like evil, malformed, sweaty, pus-filled, bloated, malformed, slug for a butt, something like that. I don't have it memorized. Just like I don't have the acronym for super suit memorized. But yeah, you just gotta like try not to die. I might have to whip her in a second. There we go. That's it. End of the game. Show the ending and roll the credits. I am the best. So it does that, but it also has like this like, oh, you're great. You did the game on difficult. That's the princess what's her name. And Jim's whole journey is to rescue her. But, you know, the cow we launched at the beginning of the game turned out to be our downfall. Go figure. Programmer Dave Perry. See, there's Andy Astor. So if you were paying attention, you wouldn't even find out that his name is, like, it's Andy Astor unless you were paying attention. Then you might put 2 and 2 together, like, oh, that's the guy's name. Many, many shiny meetings. God, I as someone who works in a corporation, I hate meetings. And whenever I walk in on, you know, my Monday and it's like, you've got like 3 meetings scheduled, like less than half an hour from walking in, it's like, man, this sucks. But what are you doing, Jim? Yeah, that might actually be worth some cash. And that's it. That's Earthworm Jim. Like I said, I might get the special edition off of Steam, and if it's fine, I might do another playthrough. But that would be that won't be anytime soon. But I appreciate, you know, if you watched this, I appreciate it. If you made it to this point, I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.